TV, a high school football preview weekend. I'm Neil Rudel, and I'm joined by Mike Boytim. Hey, I'm back. Scott Franco said I was not going to come back, and then he goes off on some vacation. He can't even come in here for 20 minutes to do this. How committed is this guy? You know, he wanted his own show. He got it.
He got his graphics at the beginning.
Yeah, brings in all these cups. He wears all this gear, all these teams that he likes, the Texas Rangers, Illinois football, and here we are. He can't come in. Anyway, so we will try to persevere without him. I don't know how we're going to do it. But, Mike, a lot of some weather expected this weekend once again. So they've moved some playoff sites to some places that have artificial surface, huh?
Yeah, Chestnut Ridge is one of the teams. They got moved to Somerset. They're no longer hosting their semifinal championship game. And with the weather, you know, a lot of these games, if you look at our Fearless forecast this week, is pretty, you know, everyone picked pretty much the same team.
I didn't see anybody deviating. Am I right?
Yeah, it was pretty much everybody was picking the favored home teams. But when you got weather like this, things can happen. So you can count on some team out there is going to be in for a dogfight that wasn't expecting it because the weather is going to even these teams out a little bit.
Yeah, now Hollidaysburg's playoff game is moved to St. Francis, but that might not have been moved.
No,
right?
that was always there.
Yeah,
but
they're playing Brashear.
Yeah, what they're trying to do is find the fields that are the AstroTurf so that they can limit the weather impact on as many of these games as possible. But Hollidaysburg, Brashear, they're happy to be playing this week. You know, a lot of teams are like, you know, they want to get through the playoffs with as least stress as possible. But Hollidaysburg has had 2 weeks off this would have been the third straight year, but Brashear decided to enter the playoffs this year. And Hollidaysburg's kind of happy about that because they can maybe keep their momentum up from the regular season instead of having the 2 weeks off before they have to play.
Yeah, Brashear usually features a lot of speed. Of course, Hollidaysburg has their own AstroTurf field. Why is that game? It's a neutral site game?
Yeah, it's a district championship. It's the 5-8 championship, and Brashear has played Hollidaysburg the last 2 regular seasons. Hollidaysburg scored 49 points in both games. Last year's game was a little bit more competitive, 49-26. But it's a team that Hollidaysburg should beat. But Brashear obviously plays in the Pittsburgh City League. They play some tough competition, and it should be a good tune-up for Hollidaysburg before they have to go out to District 10 and play their next round.
Yeah, and Brashear, although they'd be fast on Hollidaysburg's turf, also they're playing at St. Francis at the golf field, so they could have a speed that could be a factor for Brashear in this game also. How about some other games that you want to preview? We don't have that many teams still playing.
Yeah, there's not a lot, and then some of our teams have byes this week, like BG and Northern Cambria, Portage, Juniata Valley. But in District 5, it's already in the semifinals for Class 2A, and Chestnut Ridge is going to be playing Berlin. Berlin's down a little bit this year. Ridge has knocked them out of the playoffs the last 2 years, so that's going to be at Somerset. Ridge, obviously, the favorite there. But Everett's going to be hosting Myersdale, and that should be a pretty good game. Everett's 7-3, but they've actually been outscored by their opponents this year. So
how's that happen?
they've won a lot of close games, and the games they've lost, they gave up a lot of points.
Been blown out. Yeah.
So it should be that should be one of the closer, interesting games, I feel like, this weekend.
Okay, then on Saturday, Bellwood and Claysburg will be playing, not each other.
Yeah, chance for Claysburg to have a home game on a weekend where there's not a lot of Blair County teams playing, and maybe this is their chance to shine. Last year they had a home playoff game, got a big win, and they in the Class 1A classification this year. Anything could really happen. These teams are pretty equal, and if Claysburg wins this, they'll play Juniata Valley, and they had a really close game with Juniata Valley in the regular season. So.
Yeah, no, they play Carmel Valley, and Bellwood plays West Shamokin. Bellwood lost in this round last year, right?
Yes, they did. They got knocked off by Westmont Hilltop after going undefeated the whole regular season. So, Coach Loveridge isn't taking anything for granted. He said they have to take West Shamokin as they have to play that game like it's a state championship game. So, if Bellwood plays their best, they should win the game. Sean Wolf, who we had a story in this week, he was our athlete of the week. He's really improving as the Bellwood quarterback. He's able to run the ball, and I think that they should be fine, but the Heritage Conference is pretty tough. They swept the Westpac Heritage crossover game, so you never really know what to expect when teams from other conferences are playing each other.
Okay, Claysburg used to play on Saturday nights many years ago, so here they have a Saturday night game, so that's kind of returned to their roots.
Yeah, and they're going to be facing off against a real dual-threat quarterback in Bryce McCleister from Carmel Valley. There was a neat story I was reading that he made a friendship with a special band member of the Portage school district, and the kid's a great kid, obviously, from what I was reading, and it should be a good matchup because Claysburg has their own. They can run the ball, they can pass the ball. Should be an entertaining game.
Okay, a couple teams that wrapped up their seasons last week. Altoona's one of them. Some improvement this year. They were fairly competitive in a lot of games. They ended up 3-7.
Yep.
What do you look for going forward from them?
Well, they're losing Mitchell Lawhead, who was really the backbone of that team this year. He led our area in scoring for a while there, and he was a really good player for them. But Coach Felix says that they're building something there. They were competitive in the majority of their games until the end of the season there, where they ran into State College in Harrisburg. But even in those games, they were competitive at the early parts of those stages, and then when they fell behind, I think it was a little bit of avalanche type situation where you just can't stop the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So.
Penn Cambria, at one point we thought they were looking for a final game. They did not make the playoffs, but they won some games this year. This is, I think, the second year of John Franco at Penn Cambria.
Yeah, to go from no wins to 4 wins and literally be 1 yard from a playoff appearance. I mean, there was some debate, I guess, over whether they scored. One referee called it a touchdown. Yeah. One said it wasn't, and they could have upset Forest Hills, which would have put them into the playoffs over Huntington, and that would just have been an amazing story, considering they won no games last year. Didn't have much of a passing attack this year, but Derek Brown, wow, great season for them. He went over 1,000 yards, and John Franco really built a really strong defense. Penn Cambria had one of the top defenses in our area this year.
That should be something to build on. And the BG has a bye this week. They're a much improved team. I mean, you wouldn't think BG, you don't associate with them with so much improvement because they've been so great for the last 4 or 5 years. But early on, they took a couple lumps, but seemed to get stronger as the year went on.
Yeah, BG is going to be going into the playoffs as the number 3 seed, but as we all know and we've seen in years past, whatever seed they are doesn't really matter because they don't play Class 1A teams throughout the year. They play higher competition, and the Laurel Highlands gets them ready, and it's going to be tough for anyone to knock them off once they get to these playoffs. So, and then Colton McGee is just a great weapon. I mean, he changes field to position with his punting. He can kick a field goal from over 40 yards. Not many high school teams can have.
Yeah, committed to West Virginia, and he will be a senior, right? Or
he is a senior.
Okay, so he's going to West Virginia next year. Any other teams you want to mention? Any big surprise to you this year?
Not really. We started the season talking about Juniata coach Gary Klingensmith going into his 50th year. Well, he decided to hang him up after this year, and he had just got his 300th win.
Wow.
He reached it right before he retired. So we'll start off the postseason the same way we started the regular season by saying congratulations.
Yeah, Gary Klingensmith played at Penn State. I know how much respect Joe Paterno had for him. Gary was hearing impaired, so they had to make special arrangements, in terms of how to call the plays as people have seen when St. Francis used to play Gallaudet, which was a deaf university. But Gary, what a tremendous career, and congratulations. What a great way to go out after 50 years. Yeah. That's cool. So, Mike, for Mike Boytim and Pat Waxmunsky, should we give Scott Franco a shout-out? Probably not. Hopefully Scott will be back next week. I thought my contract was torn up for the season, but we'll be back next week. Thank you.